it is the straightest line anyone in the world could ever draw. But then there is a ruler. When you bring the ruler, that's when you see how crooked the line you have drawn is. This is what we go through every day. And the people who we call great are simply the people who never stopped striving. So this occasion is in a way to encourage yourselves. Benedict Kiwanuka did his part. Now, you are supposed to follow him. The question now is, so who was he following? It is important to know who the person you're following is following. I'm a Christian, a Roman Catholic. I follow my bishops, archbishops, and the Pope. But my consolation is derived from knowing who they are following. If they are following Jesus, then I'm very comfortable. And when they stop following Jesus, then the contradictions emerge. So, Benedict Kiwanuka was known to be an ardent Christian of the Roman Catholic faith. He went to Mass every day at 7 a.m., just like Julius Nyerere, President of Tanzania. It doesn't matter where he was. Even if he was in New York attending a UN session, he would start his day with Mass. It is important to know that anybody can be learned. In fact, anybody can even know the Bible. The problem is living it. I therefore dare say that, given our motto, which is for God and my country, we have got to remember the Christian foundations of some of the things that we do. And Ben Kiwanuka was one such person. There are many books you need to read. I have read them many times because I lead the political party that he once led, and it is in that role that he led the struggle for Uganda's independence and led the government delegation to Lancaster House, where he showed a lot of courage. Now, being courageous invokes images of battle. There must be something you are fighting against. You are fighting against pressures, as the learned Attorney General said. And the pressures come from all sides. Actually, the pressure can start from your conference room, where you are trying to agree on what should be the fulcrum of a case. And then you have pressures, seniority, I'm more senior than you, so give way to me. That is one arena of pressure, particularly if you're a young judicial officer. The other arena is, of course, now where you have to resist pressures of those who are politically powerful. Now, for us who are in politics, we lead multitudes, and our goal usually is to win. At least I will be honest enough to say that. In any case, we are well known for brazenly denying things that we have said even earlier. So and now we thank God for AI, because I can say something and later say, no, that was AI generated. I never said it. I've seen it all over the place. But you, our judicial officers, are different. So you find a situation where the president is very upset about bail. And you must know why he talks like that. You must contextualize the statements we make as politicians. he has an audience. And many times, my Lord the Chief Justice, you have defended the right of accused persons to bail in the presence of the president. Now, that is courage. Even your predecessor did that. Just after the president had said, I don't want bail for those who have been accused of heinous crimes. And then the Chief Justice stands up. My colleagues in the judiciary, please continue granting bail according to the law. And the president is seated there. I love that. After all, the law is written. It is in black and white. Now, the worst cowardice is when you start censoring yourself without anybody even talking to you. You start imagining. And some of those pressures also are the pressures of careerism, of course. We all want to rise. If you are a priest, you want to be a bishop. If you're a bishop, you want to be an archbishop. And probably to become a cardinal and then sit in that conclave. And by chance, you can easily be elected the pontiff. That's another form of pressure. And that can easily force you to start putting brakes on what you believe to be right. Now, the real battleground is actually your conscience. Many times you have to choose who or what to betray. Because you like Ben Kiwanuka, he chose not to betray his conscience. And that's why what happened to him happened to him. Now, all of you are here, and I know I've talked to many of you. Many of you actually were very reluctant to even become where you are. Nowadays, of course, because of the better conditions, people are looking at the judiciary just as another job, which is something we really have to debate. And the Judicial Service Commission really needs to reduce the size of the sieve. Sometimes, when you are picked, please have the courage to ask the person who has picked you, why have you picked me? My Lord the Chief Justice, let me reveal something here. When you were appointed a minister, when you had gone to the Constituent Assembly as an ardent multipartist in a movement-dominated Constituent Assembly, and you know myself and the Honorable Regan Okumu somehow thought that you owed it to us, that you needed to come and explain why you were making the decision. And we came to visit you. And then you said you actually had a conversation with the president, and you asked him, I hope this does not mean I'm going to be on opposite sides with your majority. In fact, the supermajority in the Constituent Assembly. And the president said, please, you are free to vote with your multi-partist group. That conversation is helpful because it front-loads you. I don't know whether Chief Justice Benedict Kiwanuka ever had such a conversation with Idi Amin. For instance, you are a person known to kill people, you have taken power by force, something I disagree with. Why have you chosen me? I don't think that conversation took place. But students of literature will obviously remember a conversation between King Henry VIII and his newly appointed Chancellor, who you all remember, Thomas More. I wrote it down here. More was appointed because he earned the king's trust. The reason you are judicial officers is because the people with the power to make appointments trust you. There's nobody here who is mistrusted. That is the one thing that should set you up to act with courage. Back to More. When More asked Henry why he was chosen, this is what the king said. And he was not an easy king. You know, he was not afraid to also cut off the heads of his own wives. Now, if someone can do that to his sweetheart, then you can imagine what else. The king says, because you are honest. What is more to the purpose, you are known to be honest. There are those like Norfolk who follow me because I wear the crown. And there are those like Master Cromwell who follow me because they are jackals with sharp teeth, and I'm their lion. And there is a mass that follows me because they follow anything that moves. And then there is you, Thomas More. If you fit that qualification in the eyes of the appointing authority, then there is nothing for you to fear. And that is why I referred to the discussion between the President and Chief Justice Owindolo about what would have been a big dilemma to any newly appointed minister. Of course, why does More accept the appointment? And now, as president of the Democratic Party, I have to give this answer. Because everybody asks, how could a man as decent as Benedict Kiwanuka accept to be Chief Justice to such a man? Why? Because, like Thomas More, he was a patriot. He was a Ugandan, and the leader of Uganda at that time was Idi Amin. But there's a second reason. He believed he would make a better Chief Justice than any other Ugandan then alive at that time. Of course, being a Chief Justice under Amin puts you in a very awkward situation. And definitely, being Chancellor under Thomas More, under King Henry VIII, put Thomas More in a very awkward position. Here's a man who is busy denouncing the Pope, who Thomas More adores. And here is a man who wants divorce contrary to the rules of the church. In fact, he ends up establishing himself as the head of the church. That's why we have the Church of England. So there are two reasons why Benedict Kiwanuka accepted. His patriotism, which he displayed even in relation to the king of Buganda. As you remember, he defied the powers that be at Mengo. He wanted to build a national movement. And he disagreed with the politics of disenfranchising the people of Buganda at that time, because there was a proposal that the members of parliament would be elected by the members of the provincial parliament, the Lukiko of the kingdom. And Benedict Kiwanuka said no. Everybody else, the Bachiga, the Acholis, the Karamajong, they are going to cast a vote each. What's wrong with you who think that somebody else sitting in Bulange should vote on our behalf? For that, he was ostracized. He was denied power. So he chose principle over power. And of course, the second reason is that he was the most qualified. Now, if you are a patriot and if you are qualified, you can wield the sword of courage without fear or favor. Let me conclude. For us who are lawyers, we also need role models. Of course, there are those who have their own kind of role models because of the kind of world in which we live. You may have Rastafarian hair, and that can also be a role model to others. And the Constitution allows that. You are even actually free to plant a tree and worship it every morning. Nobody is going to. But we cannot afford to have tin gods in the legal profession. We must have real standards. We must have something substantive that we admire. In other words, in a cake, you have the icing and you have the cake. We now live in a world where people adore the icing and not the cake. The fact that the icing is sweeter does not mean it is really the cake. I'm speaking in idioms because I'm trying to be polite. There are ways for us to carry Benedict Kiwanuka's courage forward. I know the Attorney General has said that you must balance your independence with accountability. That's very important because those are the two sides of the coin. On one side, you are independent. On the other side, you have got to be accountable. Mainly really to those who come before you. You are not here to please anybody. You are here to serve the truth. It comes at a cost sometimes. You get written about badly. My Lord Chief Justice, you are the most cartooned Chief Justice in the history of Uganda. I'm glad you have a sense of humor. They draw your cartoons, they put patches of yellow. But really, again, when you make judgments that please people, then people are jumping up and down praising you. The pendulum of justice swings either way. Sometimes it swings against us, sometimes it swings for us. The Attorney General sometimes is floored badly here. I've not heard him call a press conference to call you names. We pass laws in Parliament, Madam Speaker, and the courts start coming with scissors and they start trimming the law, cutting off pieces. This is something we must accept as the system which is the best, apart from having anarchy. We need the judiciary, or else we are going to have anarchy. Even if they don't make a decision you like. The mere fact that somebody says, please don't beat me, take me to court. That's what I always hear people say. Why do they want to come to court? Because they know they will at least be able to have a listening ear. Provided it is balanced, that's what matters the most. So let us ensure that justice is accessible and not just technical. I have previously made